nice. Got a new model to show you here. This one's been on my wish list for a long time, much like the book that I also made a video about. This is the 1976 McLaren Formula One car. Driven by James Hunt, who actually won the Drivers' Championship in Formula One that year, 1976. Some of you may actually get to, if you don't already know about the drama that Formula One was back then, specifically how dangerous the sport was. You'll soon get to see a movie about the subject because the great Ron Howard is currently working on a movie about the 1976 Formula One season, and particularly the rivalry between James Hunt, this car here, and Niki Lauda, who drove for Ferrari. And Hunt had a nickname, Hunt the Shunt, because he was known for crashing quite often when he didn't win or do well in a race. Very often it was because he was crashing out, at least when he was coming up in racing. So, but this year he was doing well and very lucky in some ways. So, Hunt was also known as quite a party animal and very much a ladies' man, and there's, I'm sure, going to be some coverage of that side of his personal life in the movie. His whole approach to life, driving, was very different than that of Niki Lauda, and yet they ended up being very good friends. So here's some bits of the bodywork that actually come off this model. Got the sort of bodywork that goes around the cockpit, windscreen, and so forth. And then there's also a piece that covers the engine. As you can see, this is a Ford V8 back here. I don't know what kind of power that they had back in 1976. I imagine it was somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 400 or 500 horsepower. But that's quite a lot, given that the car probably weighs about a third of what your average road car weighs these days. So the acceleration was pretty unbelievable, and the handling in corners, of course, was also high enough performance that after you do enough laps, the G-forces start to make it so that your neck is too tired to hold your head up, really. suspension is also actually a stressed member of the car. It's bolted to the monocoque, and everything in the rear of the car is actually bolted to the engine, including the suspension, the rear axle, the gearbox. All that's actually attached to the engine, and the engine forms a lot of the car's structure. It's also made for very good weight distribution, which is always helpful when you're going for performance driving. Again, balance is very important in having a car handle at its best, so anything that can give the car a nice 50-50 weight distribution between the front and the rear makes it corner better. Look at these huge rear tires compared to the fronts. Goodyear. This helmet design was actually worn recently by Kimi Räikkönen, who drives for Lotus now, although he does have one world championship with Ferrari. Kimi Räikkönen's a similar kindred spirit, you might say, of James Hunt, in the sense that he's also known to be somewhat of a party animal. Often participates in other sporting events outside of Formula One, not necessarily with the permission of whatever team he's racing for, which is, always a safety issue. Mainly snowmobiling is what he likes to do, since he's from Finland, and he's often injured himself doing that, which sort of goes to the point of why, when you're racing for an F1 team, you really should avoid other dangerous sports on the side. But in order to conceal his identity, he often races under the pseudonym James Hunt. But when he recently did a race weekend wearing a helmet that was designed exactly like this one, even said James Hunt on it, he just said that he really likes the design, the black helmet with the little stripes around the edges in red and blue and yellow. I would think being outside, racing, in an open cockpit, black would tend to make your head very hot. You do spend a lot of time sitting in the car waiting around for the race to start. So I can imagine that a black helmet could get a little warm on some days. But it does look cool. Radiators down there. Well, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this. It's definitely one of my favorite cars. Certainly one of the better ones I've bought recently. And really looking forward to the new movie to come out and show this thing racing. You might even recognize the actors playing Hunt and Niki Lauda. The guy playing Lauda was actually in the Quentin Tarantino movie Inglourious Basterds. So it should be really interesting. See those brake ducts right there. Look at that. There. Beautiful front wing. But yeah. Back when romance was safe, racing was deadly. But there you go. Beautiful.